animals here. Okay. Hi guys, welcome to Snakes and Adders Intermediate series. Today we're discussing this, which is a plumed basilisk, or Basiliscus plumifrons. I hope he's not going to stay up there too long, as my thighs are going to end up dying from me squatting down. He was first described by Edward Drinker-Cope in 1875 as Basiliscus plumifrons. Cope placed it in the genus Basiliscus, which was created by Laurenti in 1768. It's novel that actually we don't have to go through 101 different taxonomic reclassifications. Bear with me. Come on, my love. Thank you. Just there. Look at that. Okay, now he likes it on top of my head. So it's great that we don't have to do all of these taxonomic reclassifications. Invariably, when we've done these videos in the past, there's been 101 papers produced, peer-reviewed papers where people are changing genuses, proposing new genuses, whether there's subspecies, whether there's species, all the rest of it. Actually, this species has remained relatively unchanged since 1875, which is almost unheard of. So instead, what we'll look at is the taxonomic hierarchy of this species and the group with which it's from. And I thought it was quite interesting, and you know, a far wider and varied group than I anticipated when I started to research for the video. So class is Reptilia, first described by Laurenti in 1768. Order SQUAMATA by Oppel in 1811. Then suborder Iguania, Iguanid lizards, but not the ones that you're thinking of. So Iguania, it turns out, as this suborder, is this massive group that I had no idea was as diverse as it was. The family, CORYTOPHANIDAE, which means helmeted iguanas, and this guy, BASILISK'S, forms part of the CORYTOPHANIDAE family. Genus is Basiliscus, species Plumifrons. The genus Basiliscus has 4 recognised species. Basiliscus basiliscus, the common basilisk, first described by Linnaeus in 1758. Basiliscus galeritus, western basilisk, by Dumeril in 1851. And Basiliscus vittatus, which is the brown or striped basilisk, first described by Weigmann in 1828. The mammoth suborder that is Iguania contains many families we see in captivity, including Agamidae and Chameleonidae, which make up a clade, which is like a sub-family, as it were, called Acrodonta, which means teeth of the upper jaw. And these are teeth without sockets that are formed by part of an inner ridge of the jaw bones itself. And examples of Agamidae would be Pagona viticeps, which is a bearded dragon, and Cameleo or Cameleo calyptratus, which is the Yemen chameleon, which is for Chameleonidae. There's another clade that makes up the Iguania family, and that clade is called the Pleurodonta, which means lateral teeth. That's its translation from Greek. And the genera contained within that, along with the CORYTOPHANIDAE, which this guy belongs to, is Leiocephalidae, which is the curly-tailed lizards. So Leiocephalus schreibersi, which is Schreiber's jeweled curly tail. Crotophytidae, which is the collared lizards, so that's Crotophytus calaris. And then Iguanidae, which is the iguana proper, which is what we probably thought of when we first heard the word Iguania. So it's another sort of level down within that classification to get to the true iguanids. So Iguanidae includes Iguana ciclora, Sauromalus and Dipsosaurus. So iguana for the green iguana, Ciclora cornuta for the rhinoceros iguana, Sauromalus obesus for the chuckwalla, and Dipsosaurus dorsalis, which is the desert iguana. So in this guide, we're only concerned with this guy who belongs to the CORYTOPHANIDAE, the cask-headed or helmeted iguanas. This family occurs exclusively in the New World and has a range from Mexico to Ecuador and Venezuela. Plumed basilisks, the species we're discussing today, Basilisc'S plumifrons, occurs... You're not going anywhere. I felt you turn then. Yeah. you can cocoa, mate. If you're going to sit still, it's fine. That's unnecessary. You're going to have cut my lip now. My legs are killing me. Plumed basilisks occur from Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica and Panama. So I looked at weather patterns for 3 locality points to aid us with the care and their description. So Masaya in Nicaragua, the hot season, March to May, 35 daytime high, 24 nighttime low. Cool season, November to January, with a 32 degree daytime high, 22 degree nighttime low. Then I can feel, yeah, I thought so. We like you, cutting me. A wet season, July to August, 27 to 43 millimetres, and a dry season, December to March, 0 millimetres. So that's a pretty extreme northern part of the range. Much more typical would be the next 2, which would be Limon in Costa Rica, with a hot season, May to September, 30 degree during the day, 22 degree at night. Cool season, November to March, 29 degree daytime high, 21 degree nighttime low. Wet season July, 224 mil, and then also again November to January, when they range from 120 to 170 millimetres of rainfall. Dry season is September to October, 70 to 90 millimetres, so much more typical of the rainforest habitat that they're known for. The third one is Ceiba in Honduras. Hot season May to September, 32 degree, hotspot 23 degree at night. Cool season December to January, which is 28 degree during the day, 19 degrees at night. Wet season October to December, 81 to 133 millimetres of rain. And then a dry season April to June, 4.6 to 28 millimetres of rain. The word basiliscus is derived from the Greek basiliskos, meaning little king, owing to this guy's crown. So let's just discuss that got you, for a moment. So as you can see on this male basilisk, we have got a cranial crest, well, a couple of cranial crests, a dorsal crest and a subcordial crest. These get far larger later in life, and the males develop these. The females are totally different. So basiliskos, the Greek for little king, talking about his little crown on top of his head, and it also makes reference to the helmeted iguanas that we discussed slightly earlier. So these are part of the CORYTOPHANIDAE. So let me just in here. Yes, hello. You're not coming out with her at the same time. Thank you. As you can see with, let me just get your tail in, I don't want you to get caught. This is a female plumed basilisk, and as you can see, totally without plume. So sexual dimorphism very obvious, certainly in later life as the plumes begin to form, but as babies they're identical, so there are no markers for you to be able to tell. They can be very wriggly, they don't always want to sit still, but we're incredibly fortunate that the prudent trio we've currently got in stock are very laid back and tame, but this would take an inordinate amount of work to get them to stay calm. Okay, so basilisks have a naturally omnivorous diet, and it's far more varied than potentially we give them in captivity, which tends to predominantly be insects, but they will also take mammals, smaller lizards and fruits and flowers. Basilisks are egg layers. Now, I don't have any direct breeding experience with the plume basilisks, but I've bred their cousin, the brown basilisk, Basiliscus vittatus, and they hatched after 60 days being incubated at 28 degrees. The eggs are born relatively small and with very stretchy leather, so they do grow considerably during the incubation period. Babies pose no real issue in raising and feed readily on insects and grow at a very respectable rate. When we start getting around to the husbandry and the captive maintenance of this species, I cannot underestimate the amount of space that this species will need to be happy to be able to roam and move. This is an incredibly active diurnal species that is an avid climber, an avid swimmer, and therefore has many things that we need to try and provide for them for their long-term care. So minimum sort of enclosure size for adults is going to be around 5 feet long, 4 feet tall and 2 to 3 feet deep. Potentially we might even look at having a pond or a small pool, and it would probably be more sensible to have a filtration system running that so that they can jump in and have a swim. Another thing you may have noticed on the male is yes, I know I'm not going to hurt you, he's potentially just beginning to get a sore nose from rubbing. And what happens is basilisks, same as the water dragons, which is their Asian sort of parallel from the genus Vittatus, they're known for rubbing their snouts on the glass and interacting with transparent boundaries, and this causes problems with rubbing and makes their face quite sore. So it's worth having a pit with which the animals can jump into. So you'd have a front lip of a viv that's 2 or 3 times as tall as a standard viv would be, to allow them to disappear into that pit. So they're not going to try and run out of the glass. They might hop up and hold on to the tracking, but they can't get the purchase to run through it, and that's what causes the damage when their body weight follows them through into that charge.